One.
Yeah. Welcome back. It's been about 4 months. I've missed y'all. This is Two Dudes and a Mexican. I'm your host, some dude named Victor Salazar. At one of the screens should be Peter Soprano. He's not saying anything. Maybe he's dead. I don't know. His audio's messed up.
Sorry, that's the muted part, but yeah, I'm good. I'm there.
Good job. And at another screen, there should be the resident Mexican, Dave Quinones.
Órale, mi gente.
All right, Dave. Thanks for being prepared. Woo! Peter over there put himself on mute.
This is the first time I'm on Zoom, like the second time. All right.
It's all right, man. It's all right. Listen, man. Listen, it's been about.
We're to have some technical difficulties today, I think. So
it's all right. I mean, it's the first show since in a
it's
while.
It's gonna happen in the NFL draft.
Yeah, you're right. I know you guys have held it down. This is Two Dudes and a Mexican quarantined edition. I've been off the show for a couple months. I'm gracious and amazingly feeling great to be back, even though there's tough times out there. We'll get into why I was gone and what's going on out there, but you guys don't have anything to do right now, so you might as well tune in and listen to us. We're going to break down the draft as best we could in a nice short hour. But first, guys, what's up, man? It's been forever. How you guys doing?
I'm
staying alive.
It's been a long time.
Looking for toilet paper. Looking for toilet paper and paper towels.
Come on, man. You got to be prepared. You got to have that stuff, Dave.
Well, the problem is everybody bought it up. You bought it up, so I can't get it.
What do you got, like 1,000 paper towels in your house, Pete?
Nah, I ain't that much, but it's enough for like a month or two.
All right. So the draft is tomorrow. Everybody's going to be doing what we're doing right now, essentially. You know, I heard on ESPN that Greeny was talking to Roger Goodell, and Roger Goodell was saying that he's going to be doing the draft from his basement like it was a bad thing. His basement's probably bigger than all our houses put together. So it's like, oh, my God, whatever. You know what? That's elitism. Roger Goodell, kiss my ass. But we're back. We have 8 o'clock tomorrow, ESPN, ABC, NFL Network. Everyone's showing it because there's nothing else to show, right? What else are we going to watch? But the draft is tomorrow, boys. Pete, I'm going to let you start this off because you have a mock draft. And for years, as long as I've known you, you've been in this competition. I believe is on what THR? Is that what it is?
Yeah, the Huddle Report, yeah.
The Huddle Report. And for years, you've gone up against experts like Mel Kiper,
McShay.
Dude on ESPN, McShay, I can't remember his name. And then people all over the world, and you've always finished in the top 15. So I'm going to let you start this off, man. Tell us where we go tomorrow with the Bengals being on the clock, and you're not on the clock, Peter Clark. Tell me about it.
I think it's pretty easy for the Bengals. They've even stopped taking calls for the number 1 pick, so I think it's pretty easy that they're going to take Joe Burrow from LSU.
So they're not saying "Call Me Maybe" like the song?
No, I heard they were actually taking calls for a little bit. They're not going to trade it, so they stopped taking calls over the past couple of days. Everybody knows who they're going to take.
All right, Dave, I'm going to pose this to you. We covered college football extensively last year, and you saw Joe Burrow. What are your thoughts on him being the number 1 pick, and if he is the best quarterback in this draft?
I mean, listen, I think hands down in this draft at least, he's definitely the best quarterback. Listen, he has the opportunity to do big things in Cincinnati. Obviously, Cincinnati, you know, they haven't had that big if factor, that big quarterback. I mean, Andy Dalton, you know, he kind of brought him to life a little bit, but I think Burrow has the potential to really, you know, do big things in Cincinnati, really try to put them back on the map because, I mean, let's face it, you know, they have a tough hill to climb because they haven't been relevant for a while now. When was the last time they made the playoffs? When was the last time they were significant? And they've had so much drama, especially with this past year with A.J. Green, and that team has just been all over the place. So, but I think he's got potential. I mean, he broke what did he break? He broke a record this year. So, I mean, listen, I think he's going to do big things when it comes to it. So.
I'm kind of different on your opinion. I don't think he's the best quarterback in this draft. If you would have told me last year if he was coming out with Tua and Herbert, I would have taken Tua and Herbert over him any day of the week. He has 3 pro-level receivers that a lot of people don't really talk about. like LSU has some good receivers. They're right up there with Alabama's receivers. And obviously, you know, you have to have good receivers to do these things, to be great, to be significant. And he did win a national championship. But I don't think if Tua got hurt, we would even be having this discussion as to who the number one pick would be and who the best quarterback in this draft would be. But be that as it may, Tua's the big risk factor, and we'll get into that a little bit. But if Tua didn't get hurt, I absolutely think Tua would be the best quarterback in this draft, and he would definitely be going number one. I know Pete's not that high on Tua, so I want to get your thoughts on that. Who would be the best player in this draft, quarterback-wise, if Tua wasn't hurt?
I think if Tua didn't get hurt, it would be the debate up until the last day, trying to figure out who will be picked first. Like I said, I personally think the difference I have with Tua is when he throws to people and you look at his throws, most of his people are wide open because of how great his wide receivers are. Yes, LSU has great wide receivers too, but Alabama's wide receivers are like 5 yards beyond whoever is covering them. So he doesn't have to make the same precise throws. Also, he's a little bit smaller. Are you all right, Dave?
Someone just drop kicked you, bro? What happened? Someone from WWF that got released just came in your house and drop kicked you?
We're bound to
Is
have
that Sheamus? Did Sheamus just give you a bro kick?
Bro kick. But yeah, I just think that it'll be a conversation between the two if he never got hurt. But part of him getting hurt, I think, because of his size. I think he's a little bit smaller than the average quarterback nowadays. And I don't know if he's fit to take that punishment.
Fair enough. But we'll see. Like I said, last year we had this discussion on Kyler Murray. I wasn't sold on him. I'm not sure if I'm still sold on him, but he's got a big weapon in DeAndre Hopkins. We'll definitely talk about that at another time. But he's got the goods. Everyone seems to think the number 2 pick is pretty much signed, sealed, delivered. Ron Rivera pretty much kind of said that on different shows. Chase Young, I'm just going to say Chase Young goes at number 2 unless something bizarre happens, which I don't think happens. But the question I pose to you, is he the best defensive player in this draft, Pete?
I think the argument is going to be between him and Isaiah Simmons. Because the reason why I put Isaiah Simmons in there is not just because of his how physical he can be, not because he's 6'4", 240 pounds and can run a 4.39, is because he is just all over the field. He plays 3 different positions. He can play slot cornerback. He can play safety. He can play linebacker. He can blitz towards the quarterback. He plays all over the field. And in today's NFL, you want guys that never have to come off the field. And if you have him on the field, he never has to come off the field. He's the next generation of what you want for a future linebacker.
Okay, so we're just going to segue into the 3rd pick here, Pete. And then I'll get Dave's opinion on this. Pete, you threw us for a loop here. You threw us for a loop here.
Yeah.
You threw us for a loop here because a lot of experts have Isaiah Simmons, who you just mentioned, going to the Giants at number 4.
Yes.
But you have them at number 3.
Yeah.
Give me a detail. Give me a reason as to why this is going to happen, and is there a trade involved here?
I don't think there'll be a trade involved. I think Detroit will just – if they do trade down, then all right, then they can take Okudah, which is who everybody has going to them. But I think if they stay at number 3, the 2 players that I've heard with them are Isaiah Simmons and Derek Brown, the D tackle. And between those 2, I know that their coach, Matt Patricia, from the Patriots organization, he's already talked about building through linebackers. And he talks about all the great teams he had with Teddy Bruschi and all those guys on New England. He wants to do the same thing in Detroit. So I think that'll be his guy between the 2 of them. But those are the 2 names that I'm hearing over Okudah.
What are your thoughts on that, Dave? What a lot of people have the Lions either trading this pick because either the Dolphins or the Chargers want to make sure that their guy Herbert or Tua is there at number 3, or they're taking Okudah. Do you think the Lions stay pat here, or does something that Miami has a lot of draft picks in this draft, and I think Tua is their guy, and I'm not sure if they're willing to wait till 5. Dave, what are your thoughts?
No, I differ from Pete. So I think the Lions are going to stick with Okudah. Listen, you're only trading up, obviously, like we just said, if you're going to get the quarterback that you want. So I think the quarterback that they want is still going to be there at number 5. I mean, obviously the Giants, you don't know what they're going to do. They might go with Simmons if he's still there. They might go with an offensive lineman, but I think no matter what, I think their guy's going to be there. And the Chargers, I mean, again, I don't know who's going to pick who. I'm thinking Tua is going to go first before Herbert, but I think both quarterbacks will still be there. So, if it's enticing for the Lions to, trade that pick, they might, but I don't see it happening.
Okay. That's fair enough. I think the Lions, I'm also with Dave. I think the Lions get their cornerback or they trade
Their
down.
quarterback too, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, so I think Okuda goes there. But interestingly enough, we fall at the number 4 pick. And last year, I wore a soccer jersey, well, European football jersey, I'm going to call it, to the draft show because I said the Giants weren't a real team. So I didn't want to wear a team that doesn't really belong in the NFL at this moment. And for the second year in a row, I'm wearing another European football jersey because the Giants, again, they went 4-12. We do have Daniel Jones. We do got Saquon Barkley. We do have Slayton, 7th-round pick, who turned out to be good. We still have no offensive line at some point. We still have no defense. And to segue into this, Pete has us taking a tackle.
Yep.
Yeah.
He has taken a tackle at number 4. And he has us taking Tristan Wirth from Iowa, who everybody has a debate as to who the best tackle is in this draft, either the guy from Alabama or Tristan Wirth. I myself, as a Giant fan, would like Isaiah Simmons to be there. I wanted the defensive end last year, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I still thought the Giants could have got Daniel Jones at a later pick if they wanted him. And Josh Allen, we missed the pass rush. Our guy, was it Mosley? Who had 10 sacks last year? I forget who had 10 sacks last year, but that was it. That was our pass
No,
rush.
Allen had like 8 now. Oh, for your guys.
Yeah.
The guy that you
It
just
was like Golden. His name's Golden. I think his last name is
Golden.
Marcus Golden had 10 sacks last year. And aside from that, there was no – yeah, and he's still free agent. So we still don't have anyone to rush the passer. Isaiah Simmons can play – he can play end, he can play linebacker, and people say he can play safety. So if you're Dave Gettleman, David, oddly enough, you guys have the same name, who do you go here? Both of them are there. If Wirth and Simmons are there, who do you go with?
I mean, listen, if I'm the GM, I mean, listen, let's be real. When's the last time we had a real good, solid linebacker? It's been a long time, guys. And usually, the linebacker is kind of like that centerpiece for that Giant defense. It's been such a long time since we had a good one, especially with Simmons. I mean, he's just, an athletic freak when it comes to it. He can play anywhere. I'm hoping that they draft Simmons, but for some reason, listen, let's be real here. Last year, look what happened. Like you said, they drafted, Daniel Jones so early. Nobody thought that pick was going to be picked that early. I mean, he's looking good right now. So hopefully, Gettleman knows what he's doing. I have a feeling that he's going to go offensive line in this one. So, but again, I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Pete, let me pose to you. Dave said that Gettleman knows what he's doing. The last 2 seasons, Dave Gettleman's been our general manager.
He knows what he's doing in terms of that pick, let's say.
Okay.
Well, he did a good draft, too. I mean, listen, it looks like he drafted the quarterback of the future. So, for us, it looks like he has the goods. So, I'll give him that. So, for now, it looks like he knows what he's doing. So,
all right, so I'm going to pose a question to you. Dave Gettleman knows what he's doing, Pete. The last 2 drafts, there has been some talent. Dexter Lawrence, obviously Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones looks like he's okay. He's going to develop into something. We're not sure what it is yet. The kid from Penn State was having a good rookie campaign last year before he got hurt. DeAndre Baker looks like he's lost out there, so I'm not sure what they're going to do with that. But all right, we need a quarterback, right? We signed to – so, last shot for Dave Gettleman. Is this his last draft as the Giants general manager?
I mean, it's all going to be about the results on the field. If they're able to have a 9-10 win season, he's not going to go. If he has another 4 or 5 win season, he's going to be going real fast. I want to make one thing, though. He picks solid players. He just has no sense of value. That's what it is. So he'll pick somebody like the D tackle last year, Thompson. But the problem is he shouldn't be picked that high. He should be picked as a second-round pick, not the middle of a first-round pick. So he picks solid players, but he just has no sense of when they should be picked. And one other thing, at least they did sign Kyler Fackrell from Green Bay. He is a good pass rusher. Before they brought in all their pass rushers, Preston Smith, Zadarius Smith, he was their starting linebacker the year before, and he had 10 sacks. So he at least will be their number one pass rusher this year, but they definitely need somebody else to go with him.
Well, my thing is, next year when we do this show, I actually want to wear a Giants jersey.
Gotta get over 500.
So what are you protesting? Is that it? You're
I'm protesting 4-12. What were 2-3-14, 3-13 the year before? I mean, It's pathetic, bro. We go to these games, we have good times. We're always losing. You know what I'm saying? We don't stop going to the game, right? We still pay. We still watch. You know, we got to make better decisions here. And obviously, Pat Shermer was was a bad decision. Ben McApoo, I still can't stand the guy. He was a terrible decision. And now I'm reconsidering if the Giants hired the right guy, Dave Gettleman, as opposed to Louis Riddick. I like Louis Riddick, and I thought he would have, added some youth wisdom of GMing, because Dave Gettleman's obviously a little higher on the age side, and he's real old school, while Louis Riddick is, more in tune to like the new style general managing, which I think the Giants could have used, but I don't, I'm not a billionaire and I don't own the Giants, so I really don't have much of a say but this show. So.
And Louis Riddick says that if it was up to him, he would take Isaiah Simmons if he's there.
Carl Banks says the same thing. Carl Banks wants the Giants to draft a linebacker. So we'll see tomorrow, probably like around 8:45.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Because we're doing all this via freaking Zoom or everything virtually. Like it should take 15 minutes for every draft pick. Like why do the Bengals need 15 minutes to know who they're freaking picking? Like the pick should be in already.
But how many problems that these guys have had with no communication problems, just walking it up to the commissioner? I can't wait till this is going to be a complete.
It's going to be how what WWE have botches? Is that what it's called? That count? They have NFL botches tomorrow. All right, so moving along to the fifth pick, and here is where it gets nice and spicy. The Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Do they keep this pick, or do they send a boatload of picks? Well, probably not a boatload, but a decent amount of picks to move up 2 spots to trade up with the Detroit Lions and take their guy in Tua Tagovailoa?
I think they're going to stay right there and pick them. I don't think they're going to move up. If they're going to move up at all, I think it's going to be their second pick to try to move into the top 10 because of the mass hysteria of everybody looking for offensive tackle in the top 10. So I think they're going to keep that 5th pick, and I think Tua will be there for them.
Dave, we've had the discussion before about Tua. We said he's the goods, but there's still things we worry about him. Obviously, his ability to stay healthy, which is something that definitely hurt his draft value. What's the outlook? Why should the Dolphins pick a guy who is injury prone, also a lot on the smaller side, over Justin Herbert?
Listen, I like Herbert. The only thing is, I think Tua has that like it factor. I think he has that athleticism that a lot of quarterbacks don't possess. Listen, you also got to think about this. He is coming back from a bad injury. But listen, he's tough as nails. To do this, to come back as fast as he could, because a lot of people even questioned if he was even going to be ready. A lot of people questioned even if he was going to come back. He might have, lost his career, with that injury. It takes a hell of a lot, out of a person to overcome an injury like this. Now to be at the point of, making it professionally with an NFL team, I think that shows a lot of character, a lot of grit, and that's a guy you want leading your team. So I just think that you install, Tua, into that offense, even though, the Dolphins don't have a great offense, he's going to bring a lot of oomph to that offense. So I definitely think he's going to shake it up. And that's why I think, the Dolphins will go with Tua instead of Herbert. So Herbert's good, but he's not Tua.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. Pete, I'm going to throw you a little question here. These draft classes this draft class was obviously, in terms of star value, was a better draft class in terms of the stars compared to last year's draft. And the last time I think we had the star value might be, the Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Mitchell Trubisky draft, right? And the Bears are always going to be laughed at and ridiculed because they passed up on Patrick Mahomes and they passed up on Deshaun Watson, and they actually traded up to pick this guy named Mitchell, who I didn't hear about until draft day.
Yeah.
I mean, not only that, when I first heard about his name was Mitch, but he wants to be called Mitchell. If you're the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
You're here at 5. And this is the biggest risk in terms of drafting a quarterback, right? Because you put your team back 5 years if you draft the wrong quarterback, probably. And not only that, but this guy is injury prone. You haven't had the chance to really deal with him physically, right? Because it's not the same now. You can't work the guy out in your facility because of social distancing. How much pressure is on this GM to get this right and not have Tua be the Mitchell Trubisky of three years ago?
Well, every time you take a quarterback, you're putting all the risk on that. So you have to be completely sure this is going to be your franchise guy. This is going to be the guy that you're going to roll with. This is going to be the face of the franchise, especially if you're taking them in the top 5. So for them to take, whether they decide on Justin Herbert, whether they decide on Tua, whoever they decide as a group to take, they're hitching their wagon to him. So, yes, it's complete risk, but, I mean, in today's NFL, you got to go balls to wall sometime.
Now, had the Dolphins had the number 1 pick, you still think they go Joe Burrow over Tua?
That's tough. That's tough to decide because I know they really liked Tua before the injury. So I don't know if that injury would have put them behind Burrow at this point, but it definitely would have been a debate back and forth about it. Because I know going into last year when they did their tanking, that was the guy they had in mind.
So now that, it's essentially going to be down to 2 quarterbacks when they have their pick if they don't trade up.
Yeah.
And even either guy's off the board, I don't think the Lions will take a quarterback.
I want to say
You think there's more? You think there's more than 2 for them?
Yes, I think it's more than 2 because I know that there are some GMs in the league that prefer Jordan Love over both.
Oh, get this guy out of here, man!
There are GMs in the league.
Why? Because they saw the Michael Jordan documentary, so they wanted some guy named Jordan on their team. Come on, bro.
I don't see it. I think that he's a guy. He has all the tools, but he hasn't been able to put it together other than 1 year, which was not last year. It was the year before. I understand the excuses for last year because they lost 9 starters on offense, so he had completely new teammates to play with. But I've heard people compare him to say he has the strong arm, he has the athletic ability. Some people compared him to Kaepernick. Some people compared him to Mahomes. I see him more of a Kaepernick than Mahomes because I don't see him have as strong of an arm as Mahomes had. But I wouldn't take that chance with somebody like that. I think he's a perfect person to pick in the middle or late first round. But like I said, some GMs, especially when you got to go balls to the wall, if you see a quarterback that you really like, you go up there to get him, and a lot of GMs like him.
Well, 2 points. Obviously, David Gettleman loved Daniel Jones.
I was about to say, yeah.
he didn't care about what anybody else said.
You like
he
your
took
kids,
him.
you got to get him.
Okay. And then you said Jordan Love is the new Kaepernick. So that means he's going to have like 3 good years and then take knees and he's out. Is that what we're saying?
Oh, man, that's not good.
Hey, and that's 3 years. If you get the Super Bowl, don't take it, though.
Get blacklisted.
Hey.
Oh, good job, Pete.
Good job. Good job.
Super Bowl, they'll be happy.
All right. So ultimately, before we move on to the next pick, I think Tua and Justin Herbert is going to be the discussion for years to come just because this is a pivotal pick and everyone's saying Joe Burrow is the number 1 pick. Now, if Jordan Love comes into that conversation and the Dolphins take him, damn. That, to me, is going to be Mitchell Trubisky 2.0. But listen, I like the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins.
You
I
didn't
like
know
the
when
Dolphins.
Nick Foles was going to be as good as he was when he was picked later than everybody else.
You're right. You're right.
Who?
You're right.
Nick Foles.
Oh, Nick
You're right.
Foles?
He was picked behind everybody. He wasn't picked in the first round with everybody else, but now
he went to an elite school in Arizona, so you know.
And now
Neither was Brady. Neither was Tom Brady, right? Neither was Tom Brady, right?
Yeah.
Hey, there's only you're not gonna get a Tom Brady in the 6th round.
You're not gonna get Tom
I don't think that's ever gonna happen again. But
It's not.
be that as it may, Pete's favorite quarterback in this draft, he has him going 6. I wanted Justin Herbert last year, but I was a little disappointed in him for not coming out and being the number 1 pick. I don't think he wanted that pressure to be in the number 1 pick last year. I don't think college is that fun where you pass up on number 1 draft pick type money. But tell me why you like Justin Herbert and why he's your favorite quarterback in this draft.
Because he has a strong arm. He has experience because he started for multiple seasons. A lot of quarterbacks, they start for 1 year, a year and a half. he has 3-4 years experience. He stayed for a senior year, and not only does he have a strong arm, but he's very athletic, and he's shown that. The only issue I actually have with him is that he can be too cautious, which in his numbers makes his numbers look good because he never has that many interceptions. But I think we saw this year Joe Burrow throw for 60 touchdowns. You won't ever see Justin Herbert do that because he won't throw it enough to get 60 touchdowns. So if he was able to be pushed a little bit more to throw the ball downfield more, to let it loose a little bit more, I think he would be the best player in that best quarterback in this draft, and that's including Burrow.
Dave, I'm gonna pose this question to you. The last time I believe someone was probably going to be the consensus. I don't even know if he's going to be the number 1 pick last year, but he might have been. I know Kyler Murray and him might have been a debate at the time because Kyler Murray had won the Heisman, and then Cliff Kingsbury coming over. You know, who knows what would have happened if Justin Herbert was there with Cliff Kingsbury. But the last time that someone did not want to go to a team or skip the draft was Peyton Manning. And he came back and he was the number 1 pick the year after. Does Justin Herbert not coming out last year concern you at all in terms of having that pressure of being the number 1 guy picked in the draft?
No, I don't think so. I mean, listen, athletes do it all the time, right? They think about going professional, and all of a sudden, they stay for 1 more year. Sometimes there's benefits to that. Obviously, being more mature. Learning more from the game that they play, whether it's football, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball. I mean, you got to give that person the credit to still put in, and there could be other reasons why, personal reasons why, but I don't think that takes anything away from him. I think he's a great talent. Whether that's true or not, that he didn't want the pressure, for me, who cares? I mean, I think at the end of the day, he showed how good of a player he can be collegiately. And listen, now is the draft. Now is the time. Now is the time for him to prove himself when he's drafted, if he's drafted by whomever. So I don't think that's anything wrong. So with taking some more time in college. So.
All right, moving on to the 7th pick, Pete. A lot of insiders, at least here in the Northeast, have the Panthers actually trading up to pick a defensive player. How come you like them staying at 7 with Derrick Brown from Auburn?
Because I think that the 2 players that they have in mind that they want are either Isaiah Simmons or Derrick Brown. They either want a linebacker to replace Luke Kuechly, or they want a D tackle because they've lost a lot of their interior defensive line lately. So those are the 2 guys. If either one of them flips to them, they don't have to trade up. That's going to be their pick. And we don't really have any spots where Derrick Brown's going to go earlier than that. Obviously, Isaiah Simmons can go number 3. He can go number 4, but but Derrick Brown, we don't really have a spot for him. So I think that'll be their second guy. I think if Isaiah Simmons flips to them, that'll be their guy. But if not, I think Derrick Brown will just sit there and take him.
Okay, I mean that's fair enough. I still don't know what they're doing with that pick. I'm not sure. I mean, they obviously signed Teddy Bridgewater, so they're not interested in a quarterback. They locked up Christian McCaffrey for 4 years and all that money. They're pretty set on the offensive side of the football, so I think obviously they're going to go on the defensive side of the football. But we'll see. We'll see. Like I said, things could change. I'm not. I don't know. Aside of Joe Burrow and Chase Young, I don't know what's going to happen from 2 to 10. Especially reading your stuff now. There's a lot of things I don't agree with, but then again, I'm not the insider. I'm just the guy that yells at the beginning of the show. The Cardinals, Dave. Pete has them going Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. Obviously, they made a big move. They traded Pete's favorite running back. What's his name again? Your favorite running back, Pete?
Which one? I like a lot of running backs. Some about David Johnson.
Yeah, the one that blocked you on Twitter because you called him.
He blocked you on Twitter.
Yeah. Pete's
the Arizona Cardinals curse is over now because they finally got rid of him.
So now Pete can like the Cardinals again, apparently. But Dave, they traded their running back. They got themselves a top 2, top 3 wide receiver in most eyes. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the trade? And what are your thoughts on Pete here, having gone with Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't really know what they're doing. They're going to be doing either. I mean, listen, That trade was huge. A player like, DeAndre Hopkins, who, I don't know, man. I think he's number one in the league. I mean, really. I mean, he's a physical freak. I mean, you look at everything that he can do. He can change the dynamic of an offense. You put him in that offense, he can change the dynamic on that offense. And with Kyler Murray, I mean, who knows? Listen, this offense could look very, very different this coming year. So I think it's a great trade for Arizona. And to be honest, I liked Kyler Murray when he came out of college. I thought he was going to be good. Obviously, his height and how small he was a big question. But look, he proved he can win games. He did a really good job with that offense. And I think the combination of him and D-Hop, I think it's going to be big this year.
We could slow it out on him. He won, 5-6 games? So it's not like you said the world.
Hey, 5-6 games. That's pretty good, man, for a rookie.
Of course. He's no Daniel Jones. I get it.
A little guy, too, like that. Yeah, exactly. He's no Daniel Jones, but, hey, let's give him a little bit of credit, please.
It is what it is. Pete, you got him taking a defensive tackle here. Tell me what you like about this kid from South Carolina. He seems to have a pretty good mortar. He seems to be physically,
Yeah,
he scares me. I think he'd probably beat my ass if we ever got into a fight.
He's really built. He's really built. He has pretty much the DK Metcalf on defense, where he has 0% body fat. He's just super strong, and he actually can penetrate where he actually can get to the quarterback. A lot of one of the problems with Derek Brown is he's a monster in the middle, but he's mostly a run stuffer. He can get to the quarterback and apply pressure, but Kinlaw actually can pick up sacks when he gets to the quarterback. He's much more of a guy who can play a 4-3 D tackle as well as a DN or nose tackle in a 3-4. So I think he can fit multiple positions. And even though I personally think Arizona should take an offensive lineman because they're picking up all these wide receivers, and if Kyler Murray is running around for his life, it's not going to matter. I think they should, but one, everybody's trying to trade up to get an offensive lineman, so they may not get the guy they want. And two, he would really solidify the defensive end.
I mean, yeah, I don't know what the Cardinals are doing half the time.
They need a lineman. They've been ignoring that way too long.
Yeah, I mean, they got – listen, DeAndre Hopkins is top 2, top 3, whatever you want to call him. If you want to call him the best receiver in the league, he's going to make Kyler Murray better instantly. But if you can't protect him, doesn't matter.
The weirdest thing rumor is I heard that people taking CeeDee Lamb, which CeeDee Lamb is my number one wide receiver, but it makes no sense when you already have Hopkins, you already have Christian Kirk, you have Larry Fitzgerald, you have Andy Isabella, who you took in the second round last year. You are stacked at wide receiver. They're probably going to run 4 wides more than any other team in the league. You don't need another wide receiver. Get an offensive lineman, or your quarterback's going to be on the ground.
Now, Dave, I'm going to switch it up a little bit here. We're going to the number 9 pick of the Jaguars. I know if this guy is here, it's obviously a home run. They should definitely pick him. Pete has him going 9, and probably the biggest drop off a guy who's seemingly consistently being in the top 3. Pete has Jeffrey Okudah from Ohio State, the best defensive back in this draft, going number 9. I know why the Jaguars would love it. Obviously, they traded their cornerback last year. And they have a need for a shutdown corner, and that's exactly what Jeff Okudah is. The value is there. I mean, if you get him at 9, you get him at 9. It's amazing. But, Dave, do you think Jeff Okudah even goes to 9?
No, I don't. Like I said, I think he goes. I think he goes to the Lions in 3. So, but it's a good point. They lost Ramsey last year. They do need that shutdown corner. I mean, the Jags. I don't know. They're a little in disarray right now.
They need everything.
I was about to say they need.
But that's your favorite team, Pete. Tell us about your favorite team.
They just traded Foles, so it's weird. It's weird what's going on over there. I mean, that's probably another team that you don't know what they're really going to probably do in the draft, especially when depending on who's there when it's their pick. I don't know what they're going to do as well. Yeah?
So Pete, tell me why you think he drops in this draft, and since the Jaguars are your favorite team, give me a little more insight as to what else they need besides a shutdown corner.
Well, the 3 things that they need is number 1 is actually corner. Number 2 is probably pass rusher. Number 3, D tackle. The 4 guys that they're pretty much them and the Falcons are competing for the same 4 guys. They're looking at obviously the top corner in Okudah. They're looking for the number 2 corner in C.J. Henderson, and then they're looking at Derek Brown at D tackle as well as Kinlaw at tackle. So with most of those guys being gone already, you pretty much have the number 1 corner in Okudah. If he is taken, or if somebody trades up and takes him, then they'll probably take C.J. Henderson. But they want a corner or they want a D tackle. Same thing with Atlanta. That's the reason why Atlanta is trying to trade up so far. The team that the Giants have been talking about with trading back has been Atlanta, because Atlanta wants to jump up ahead to get Okudah, and they don't think he's going to go 3. If you look at Vegas odds, they're saying the same thing. His over/under is picked 4.5. So there's a lot of rumblings he's not going to go 3.
Wow. I mean, that's a big thing right there. People, again, you finished top 15 in the last couple of years, so I'm not going to disagree with you. I just think it's a pick that if you get right, you probably nobody will probably have that with you right now. I think you'd probably be the only one to have him at 9. So we'll see tomorrow. That pick will probably be at 12:30 the next day because
we're gonna be waiting that much time, huh? They're gonna try to milk it as much as possible, right?
We're gonna delay.
Of course,
difficulties.
They're milking a 10-part documentary for like 5 weeks, bro. Come on, man.
Hey, it should have been 10 weeks. It should have been one episode per week.
That would have been good. Could have done that.
No, just keep playing every day, dude. Do like they did the R. Kelly and the OJ thing.
When Netflix, posts everything, out in one day and then you binge watch. I don't like that.
I love it. I'll take 10 hours of my life and watch the documentary.
I do like when Netflix puts it all out.
Well, of course. I'm feeding it right now. You think at 11 o'clock on Sunday, I was like, oh, Dennis Rodman and the Bad Boys. Yeah. Oh, tune in next Sunday. Come on, bro. A little off topic, but number 10, before we round up the top 10, this is the most disappointing team of last season. Everyone had this team basically going to the AFC Championship game. Odell Beckham came. Kareem Hunt came. They had a pretty good defense. They just had a terrible coach. Baker Mayfield didn't look – I don't know what the hell happened. Maybe it was the coaching, but he looked like – I don't know what he looked like. We're going to call him Faker Mayfield for now. You know what it was, Pete? You know what it was, Dave? He actually took a shot at Daniel Jones. That's what happened.
Oh, he did? That's right. That's what he did.
Yeah, you see? Don't come at the king, bro. Don't come at the king. Things like this happen. But Pete has him taking Andrew Thomas from Georgia, who is an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Pete, a lot of people have the guy from Alabama going before him. Why Andrew Thomas in this spot?
Just because the guy from Alabama plays mostly right tackle and they need a left tackle.
Okay.
So it's mostly about position. There's 2 main left tackles in the draft, and that's Becton as well as Thomas. So those will be 2 that should both go in the top 10, while Wirfs and Wills are both primarily right tackles. Even though Wirfs and Wills are the people that they like the most, but, I mean, obviously you want to protect the quarterback's blind side.
Dave, in terms of having a guy on the right side for Baker Mayfield, what impact is it going to have for Baker Mayfield, number one? He didn't look like the Baker Mayfield in season 1. He had all these weapons, but, again, I thought he had too many weapons and too many egos, and I'm not sure if that's how it played out. But at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield has to have a bounce-back season as the number 1 pick. What value is Andrew Thomas going to bring for Baker Mayfield next year?
I think it's going to be big value, man. So, and I agree with Pete. You got to protect that blind side. So, Baker Mayfield looked like he took a lot of shots this past year. And it almost seemed like he was gun-shy at times, just shaky, just scared. Maybe the pressure got to him too. Obviously, the buildup was huge before the season started. Them making the big splash with getting Odell Beckham, all those offensive weapons. I mean, I think there were too many big expectations out in Cleveland. I think that might have got to him as well. But when he started taking those hits early, I think that messed his psyche up. You got to protect the quarterback. Listen, guys, you said it before with the Cardinals. You don't protect the quarterback, your quarterback should be running for his life. So I definitely think that that's something they need to do in this draft.
Now we're gonna go to the 11th pick, and it's our crosstown. Well, not really crosstown. We're playing the same stadium. It's our neighbors at MetLife Stadium, New York Jets. Clearly, from last year, you could tell that they need to get Sam Darnold some wide receivers. If Sam Darnold's going to be what people projected him to be, he's so flashes, obviously. But you can't throw number 2 and 3 receivers all game and expect to win football games in this league. It's a pass-happy league. And if you don't have a true number 1, then your quarterback's pretty much, Baker Mayfield. No, I'm just kidding. So this is going to be a debate. This Pete, tell me about the wide receivers in this draft class. This is probably the best wide receiver draft class coming out in a very long time. You can't go wrong, essentially, with whatever wide receiver you pick probably in the first 30, 32 picks. There's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah.
But there's debate. You have them picking Jody from Alabama, Willis from Alabama, who's a stud. But the debate is here, CeeDee Lamb or Willis. And you're teetering to Willis as to the Jets pick, but you think Lamb is the best receiver in this draft. Tell me why you have Willis as number 11, even though you think CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver in this draft.
Just because everybody has made a big deal of their top four old tackles, and when it all shakes down, if Miami trades into the top 10 and somebody else decides to take offense tackle, they may not be one of the 4 there for the Jets. So they may be forced to take CeeDee Lamb at that point. So I think it's going to be one of those situations where they're trying to grab one of those 4 because those 4 are coveted right now. It's such a deep wide receiver draft that they'll be able to get one in the second round if they really wanted to. But the offensive linemen are going to fly off the board, and that may force them to pick an offensive lineman.
So you think the Jets might even pick an offensive lineman at this point?
Yeah, I think they'll take if they're one of the 4 is left for them, I think they take one of those 4 offensive linemen.
All right, so let me get into this debate in terms of Lamb versus Jowdy, who the consensus is these are the 2 best guys in this draft. I personally like CeeDee Lamb. I saw him play a lot last year. I think Jowdy had like 2 other guys that are probably going to go in this draft. In terms of playing on Sunday, lining up with him, trips. And that's another thing that a lot of people won't take from Tua is that he had a lot of good wide receivers, dude, and they were always open.
Never went back, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So why do you like Lamb over Jowdy in this?
I think the difference between the 2 of them is when I look at Jerry Jeudy, he's a guy who is Stephon Diggs, but a little bit faster. While when I look at somebody like CeeDee Lamb, he's a little bit more of a long strider, but I think he's a quicker Chad Johnson. I don't know if maybe some of the younger fans may not remember Chad when he played and he was in his prime, but he's one of Ocho Cinco. All right,
his name's Ocho Cinco, bro. Get it right.
Listen,
he changed. His legal name is Chad. His legal name is Ocho Cinco.
When he played, it was Chad, so I'm calling him Chad. All right. He's one of those guys who, when he catches the ball, he turns into a running back. He's a combination of Chad Johnson and Anquan Bolden. Another good comparison is if you look at Brown from last year that went to the Titans. Those are the type of people that I think of when I think of CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's hard to tackle that guy. While on the other hand, like I said with Jeudy, he's the best route runner in the draft. If you want somebody that can be a future Antonio Brown, that's who you take. But the only problem I have with him is, listen, he's going to be one-on-one at Alabama because you have all those studs around him. You look at Lamb, you can't name another wide receiver on Oklahoma's team. But you look at Alabama, and Ruggs is going to be going in the top 15. Smith next year is going to be probably a top 10 pick. So he has stud wide receivers that you can't double him at all. While Lamb faced a lot of double teams and still found a way to get open.
So you think the Jets here don't do the right thing and pick a tackle instead of picking a wide receiver?
Yeah, I think they'll end up picking a tackle if 1 to 4 is even there, yes.
Okay. What do you think? Should the Jets go O-line here, or should they get one of these stud wide receivers who, Sam Darnold needs a wide receiver, man. I'm just saying. I don't care about the Jets, but if Sam Darnold's going to be anything in this league, he needs a wide receiver. He needs a number 1.
Listen, they lost Anderson, obviously, to free agency. So they do need a wide receiver. Whether it's a number one, a number two, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, Darnold saw a ghost last year, right? So maybe, you know, they need to get that offensive tackle. So I don't know. I mean, I think they go wide receiver. So they need to give him weapons. He needs weapons. I mean, and obviously he took a step back last year. You know, for whatever reasons, obviously he was, you know, he had the injuries in the beginning, you know, hanging out with Pete, and then all of a sudden,
exactly. That's what it was.
So
all those Hoboken trips, man.
You got to give him some weapons. So I think they go wide receiver on this one.
All right. Well, I disagree with Pete with them taking the tackle. I think they take one of the two wide receivers that are available at that time. Pete likes Lamb. I like Lamb. I don't think you can go wrong with either guy. I think Lamb's the best receiver in this draft. So Pete has the Raiders going. Judy, Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
The Las Vegas Raiders. No longer the Oakland Raiders. Las Vegas Raiders. They got their new stadium. And then he has the 49ers taking CeeDee Lamb. Pete, how does this make that 49ers offense much more potent, much more vulnerable? A lot of people still have them as the best team in the NFC, in a stacked NFC. What can we expect from CeeDee Lamb? You know, being out there with Deebo Samuels, with Kittle, Emmanuel Sanders, with freaking the tight end. What's his name? Not the tight end, the fullback. What's his name? The fullback. What's his name?
I forgot his name.
He scored. I think he scored. He had like a touchdown in the Super Bowl. I forget his name. I think it's Juszczyk. I don't remember.
Kyle Juszczyk. Like that. Yeah, he used to be on the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah.
I mean, and that running game, that three-headed monster in that running game, and still that defense. Like, does this elevate the 49ers as the Super Bowl favorites now if they get CeeDee Lamb?
Well, I think it will elevate them to be the NFC favorites again. Listen, it's tough to get by Kansas City because they pretty much flipped the switch on for 6 minutes and won the game off of that 6 minutes. They were losing most of that game. They were down 2 scores most of that game, and then all of a sudden they're up and up by more than a touchdown. So it's one of those things where how long can you keep them down? If I'm a team like San Francisco and I'm that close, I go even more defense. I try to stack the defense even more because you had them shut down for 3 quarters and 9 minutes of that game. So maybe that one extra defensive player means you don't wear out. You can rotate people more. You can get to the quarterback more. So with me, I actually go the opposite way, and if I'm them, I go defense. But I understand that they want to say, all right, we wanted to pass. We wanted to finish them off. Maybe one more offensive player will finish them off. But either way, he's going to help their offense because with them losing Emmanuel Sanders, they needed somebody to replace him. So he'll be the perfect replacement for him.
All right, so I'm going to jump around here. We got 10 minutes left on the show. I think we're good with the top 10, but I want to get your opinion. First, Dave, Jordan Love. Where do you think Jordan Love ends up going, and do you think he ends up in the first round?
Jordan Love. Yes, I think he goes in the first round.
Where do you have him going to? What team do you think will make that giant leap of faith for Colin Kaepernick, Jordan Love? There you go.
I think it's either going to be the Broncos or the Falcons, but we'll see. So
wow, the Falcons. No more Matty Ice?
No, I don't think they're convinced with Matty Ice, man. I mean, I think they had their chance and slipped through their hands. So, I mean, listen, I know Pete likes Lock out in Denver.
How dare you disrespect Drew Lock, man? You're rapping on the sidelines, yo. Come on.
I knew he was going to say something. See, I knew it. But I don't know. I don't think they're totally convinced on him. So I mean, listen, I'm calling it. I think Jordan Love either goes to the Broncos or
I personally like Drew Lock. I don't think the Broncos take him. Pete, interestingly enough, has them going to New England.
Yeah.
So you have him going to New England, right?
Yeah.
Why? And what's up with my boy Jarrett Stidham, bro? What's going on?
Listen, they're not sure on him. They're gonna have to
Brian Hoyer, bro. What's up with Brian Hoyer, man?
It's Jarrett Stidham era, bro.
He gets cut every year.
Motherfucker Brady gone, bro. Yeah, Brady's gone. Jarrett Stidham's my guy.
Yeah.
You know, from Auburn. I got confidence in him. Why is Jordan Love gonna go to New England?
Listen, if he can sit there, first of all, I don't know. He has too much talent that he's probably going to sit the whole year. But if he can sit there 1 year and gain some of the knowledge from Belichick, be in all the meetings and be his next guy, then I think yes, he can be one of the top quarterbacks in this draft after sitting for a year with Belichick. If he has to play too early, it may be too much for him. He may have a couple turnovers, whatever. But I think I've always been a proponent of having the quarterback sit a year. And if you can have somebody with that much talent be able to sit in the same room as Belichick for a whole year, I think he'll be ready to break out the second year. Because look what happened with Mahomes. He sat the year with Alex Smith and with Reed there for a year, and then he exploded the second year. I think the same thing can happen with Love.
But my guy Jarrett Stidham will throw the black wide receivers, right? He'll throw the black wide receivers, okay? And he's got a good one in Kill Harry, who I like, who Tom Brady didn't even throw the ball enough to last year. Tom Brady was like, wide receiver, Julian Edelman.
He was too busy
Where's my other wide receivers? Where was Harry? Jarrett Stidham's going to throw to Harry, baby. Harry's the real deal, bro.
He missed half the year because he was on IR, so he was hurt.
All right, so what about the rest of the year? He threw to him 3 times against you guys. 3 times. But Julian Edelman got thrown like 9 balls.
Oh, that's his boy, though. That's why.
Yeah, that's his boy, and now he left him.
Harry's not a cool name, though. It's really not. So maybe
and Kill is.
And Kill's a good name. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I like Kill. I think the new Montana to Jay Rice is going to be Stidham to Harry.
Oh, my God.
Big. Those are big shoes to fill. I don't know about that one. Joe Montana?
Joe Montana. All right, so real quick, Pete. The Dolphins are staying put, as you say, but do they trade into the top 10 with the abundance of picks that they have, and what do they do?
As of right now, I'm leaning that they will try to trade. They will get it to the top 10 and get the 1 to 4 offensive linemen. And I think the team that they'll probably trade with is Arizona or Cleveland.
Wow. Dave, the Dolphins have about 20,000 picks in this draft. They seem to have played really hard for Brian Flores last year. What's the outlook you think Brian Flores has now? If he gets his quarterback, he gets his tackles, he gets some more offensive pieces there. Are the Dolphins a real player next year in that East Division where there is no more Tom Brady?
Listen, yeah, I was going to say that. There is no more Tom Brady. So I don't think the Patriots are who they once were. So, listen, it remains to be seen. Hopefully they can put it together. They can draft the right, people that they need in order to make that offense better. So, but I think they need to set the tone, though, with that first pick. That first pick is going to be huge, obviously. They need to get their right guy that's managing that offense. So, yeah, they have a plethora of picks. So, they have, so much room to do a lot of things and to fill a lot of holes with this draft. So, anything's possible.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's ridiculous. Wow.
All right, so we got about 5-6 minutes left. I cannot leave without talking to Peter about his Tennessee Titans.
Peter!
And that great season they had last year.
Yep.
Falling a little short in the AFC title game, but in the process, knocking out the GOAT, Tom Brady, knocking out everyone's favorite quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Cover on Madden Boy.
Beating your rival, the Ravens, the team you hate probably – the team you love probably more than the Jaguars. But you guys, you have him going with the cornerback from TCU. Yeah. A lot of people don't know about this guy, Jeff Gladney. Tell me about
him. He's a guy he has that kind of a cocky attitude. He's pretty much he's a Dory Jackson. If you remember Dory Jackson at USC, he was a cocky guy, good ball hawk. He has long arms and he's always in the wide receiver's back pocket. And I think cornerback is probably their biggest need because they're losing Logan Ryan, or Logan Ryan hasn't been re-signed as of yet. They still do have $20 million in cap room, so who knows? Maybe after the draft they'll re-sign him. But I think that money is actually going to go to Clowney.
Wow, Clowney's going. You guys going to get Clowney? Wow.
Yeah, I really do think. I've been saying that for a couple of weeks that I think Clowney, when it's all said and done, will sign with the Titans.
Weren't the Giants?
Wow.
No, Giants weren't really that interested. Which surprised me. I thought they should have been, but they weren't really that interested in him.
Now, we got about 5 minutes left here. I want to ask Dave something real quick. If you're the Giants, do you trade back here?
I think they want to trade back. I think there's a lot of pressure on this pick because I don't think they want to get it wrong. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I just have a feeling that Gettleman doesn't want to be in this position. So
I don't think Gettleman likes drafting high. I think Gettleman likes drafting in the late round, in the late first round, getting a steal. I don't think he knows.
I agree with that.
I don't think he wants the pressure of drafting in the top 10 and getting it wrong.
He's never traded back in the first round, and he's never taken an offensive lineman in the first round. So that's very weird for a GM that's been a GM for 10 years.
I totally agree. My only question is, though, who's going to trade up, though? Who is going to actually trade up? Because the only reason you're going to trade up is the only reason you're going to trade up is to get that big quarterback that you fear, somebody else is going to get ahead of you. The map tells that's not draft, so I don't think anybody's going to trade up with that.
Listen,
if Detroit doesn't pick Okudah and you know how much Jacksonville wants him, go to Jacksonville and say, give me the 9th and the 20th pick for it.
There you go.
That's simple, right? It's that simple.
It's that easy.
You probably have to throw them back a third, but still, you're getting 2 first-round picks.
That's fine. That's fine with me. Shit. All right, Pete, I'm going to pose this last question to you. If there's someone that falls out of the first round that should be going in the first round, who would that be for you?
I would say the cornerback, Fulton from LSU. He's a guy who some people have in the first round. I don't have him in my first round, but he has been mentioned a lot for the first round. But he's kind of come out of nowhere. I'm not as high on him as other people are, but they think he'll be a very good, solid pro at cornerback. And cornerback could be a big run. There's 3 main positions in this first round. It's going to be offensive line, it's going to be wide receiver, and it's going to be cornerback. With all those, probably going to have about 19 out of 32 picks in the first round. So it's going to be one of those 3. So you're going to see a lot of cornerbacks go that I don't think should probably be going in the first round.
Perfect. I mean, there you have it, man. Listen, tomorrow, this draft's going to take about 16 hours for the first round.
By the time they're done, they'll be ready for round 2.
Exactly. It's going to
go right into round 2.
You remember back when we had college basketball and they used to do Midnight Madness and they would go for like 18 hours. Every school would have their Midnight Madness and they go for – that's what it's going to be. It's going to be 3 rounds in 72 hours.
They might as well. There's nothing else for them to talk about. They might as well just –
where are they going to go? They can't go nowhere. Can't go anywhere.
3 days straight. When they got to do their updates like Gronk has a milkshake, they can update that every 5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
And just go.
Just go. So I'm telling you right now, guys, tweet Pete at Pac-Man plus the social security number. Don't think I forgot what your long-ass number. He's the guy to go to tomorrow. I'm just going to make jokes pretty much all day tomorrow, especially if the Giants pick someone retarded.
The mock draft will be open to the public tomorrow. I don't know how these guys got open copies or whatever, but they must know somebody. But
for real, it's been good to be back, man. We're going to be coming to you at least once a week or try to come to you at least once a week. We just don't want to water it down like ESPN does and talking about when is college football going to open up or who cares? We're quarantined. How about everyone stay inside, fucking social distance so we can get out of this? I mean, that's the only thing I got to say. It was good seeing you guys. We'll be back sometime next week. Break down documentaries.
Last Dance.
Of the greatest. The greatest.
You guys are both Bulls fans. Go fuck yourselves.
Yo, man, what's wrong with you?
No, all right. But, yeah, baby, that's our show for today. Like I said, we'll be back next week with a little breakdown of episodes 1 through 4. And maybe a little breakdown of the first round, a little 30-minute bit that we might do for you, breaking down the first round and seeing if Pete was right and seeing if Pete ends up in the top 15 with his picks. But, yeah, guys, it's been real. We'll talk to you soon. That's it. We out. Peace.
Love you, mi gente.